Hey folks, Green Stuff Cav here. Now this week we're gonna paint the bases for the Warhammer Underworld set. Now we saw them being assembled in the previous video and I've given them a coat of the Colour Forge black spray because you know it's got a really nice coverage. I don't know if we can see this here. So yeah, we're going to paint all the bases up together because that will help keep them consistent. There's mainly going to be a lot of dry brushing in this video and a lot of layering as well. So you can see we're starting with like a basic grey. Eshin grey is really nice over black because it just gives that sort of colouring to it. So I use it as a highlight. Now some of these bases you'll see there's too many bases because I've actually duplicated the style for the 3 characters I've already done, so I'll be rebasing them so that theoretically all the crews will look the same. I see I go slightly heavier on like the rubble effect, but the actual paving slabs themselves are quite a light dry brush. And this is followed by a wet brush in, so it's like dry brush but with more paint on your brush, and that's onto all of the like the sand effect, all the dust, because this will help just add a bit of colour. The main plan is to be to dry brush in the whole thing the same colours, but to tie them together. But for the meantime we're just doing going to work up some browns. We can see there's some water effects as well which we'll have to deal with, but in the meantime, now that the first layer is dry, we'll give it another dry brush with a lighter grey. Obviously that went a little bit too heavy on this one, but to be fair, no one's going to really notice because these are bases. Sometimes you can get away with mistakes like that because yeah, just no one's going to notice. Again, I'm going slightly heavier on the rock work and then lighter on the paving slabs. I'll give them the dues. The Underworld's bases are really nice. Like all of the crews, they've got the Ossiarch Bone Reaper bases are absolutely gorgeous. Like I wish GW would do sets of these because they're really nice. You see with this now we're on a lighter grey. Again, we're going over pretty much everything just to give it that third level of highlighting. This is where it's good to having a wide collection, because if I didn't have the greys, I'd simply have a load on the palette and then just keep mixing in whites just to lighten the colour. So we've got a Warboss green. We're going to do all the water bits as like real gooey, sickly water. There's not much on them, so by keeping it to a real dark colour will help tie the bases together. It won't stand out too much. I mean, you could go for like a pure sparkling or a yellow effect. Like it's a few different colours, but some metal work again. So I'm picking out all these details before I give everything a dry brush so that all the details sort of tie together. Here we are with Rakarth Flesh. Now this is going to go over, oh no, I'm going to go for the bone work first. I thought I went over the whole base with this, but apparently not. Some contrast onto all the water effect. Again, contrast is good for this sort of thing where you got some real set details, and by doing it a colour first gives us that sort of that look to it. But now the hard part, find out which guy goes on which base. Should really have kept track. Obviously I put the leader on the put Hexbane on the biggest base, but he doesn't go on a big base. Some of them are easy to line up, but course, is I've undercoated them separate for the base, so the pegs are slightly thicker due to the layer of paint. But you could get away with, you could go back and file them, but a bit of brute force would be fine. Although I do struggle with the dogs. But they've got the tiny spindly little ankles, so if you're going to do this, be really careful, otherwise you end up snapping stuff and that's not what you want.